Morning, everyone. Good to see you guys. I see we've got 3 folks on and several of our staff members. So welcome. There might be a few more joining as we go. It's just now reached 10 o'clock. So we'll give it just another minute to see if we get a few more folks joining. But I can see we've got Andrew, Erica, and Nicole. So welcome, you guys. Thank you for joining. We'll just wait until 1 more minute and see if we get a couple more to hop on before we get started officially. Now, yep, we're getting another one. We got Dave Vandeventer. Hey, Dave, welcome. Welcome.
I'm pretty sure Dave's heard this presentation before.
Maybe only about a dozen times. We try to keep, we put something new every year, don't we? I think we try to give it some.
I bet Dave could give it.
I mean, he's welcome to take it over if he wants. You know, we can go get us a cup of coffee. All right, y'all. So it's 10:02, so we're going to get into it. Welcome, everyone, and good morning. My name is Mary McClellan. For those of you I haven't met, I am the Executive Director of the Carolina Recycling Association, and we are hosting this event along with our wonderful partners that you see on the slide before you. We have all partnered together to create this great event where we can have some face time with our decision makers and get ourselves in front of them. And today I'm joined by Will Sager, who is with the Southeast Recycling Development Council, and he is the executive director there and has been for just a few years, just a couple of years, I think. Will, maybe, what's that?
I'm still in my probation period.
So Will has been a partner with us for a long time on this, and CERDIC does some wonderful things. I encourage you to check them out and look at their website and reach out to Will. But I'm going to hand it over to Will to talk to us a little bit about Recycling Day at the Statehouse. So Will, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mary. And I do want to stress how important it is that we hold these events so that our state legislators can understand the importance of the recycling programs. We deal with a lot of media stories now that say recycling's not working, and I know all of you on this call see it work every day, and but the legislators don't see our side of the world. So this is our opportunity to connect with them, and particularly important for South Carolina with all of the economic impact that recycling has there. And I assume, I don't see DOC on your list here, but I assume that they're there. You will have Anna's information for our attendees prior to or at the event. There's a lot of manufacturing in South Carolina that does depend on recycling for feedstock. And I'll mention that again as we go forward. But to get started, just really, I'd like to recognize the companies that keep our efforts possible. The CERDIC sponsors are listed on this slide. And these are the people that put the money in to support the work that I do with others. CRA sponsors as well make the work that Mary and Jen do possible, and then we have some specific sponsors for this event that are over and above. And you know, just keep in mind that these companies are making these commitments to the organizations and to this event, and you know, if the opportunity presents for you to direct business their way, it certainly makes us all stronger through their efforts. We want to give an overview in this webinar about what the Recycling Day is. We'll go over the agenda and cover some things that typically come up. We also make sure you have the opportunity to submit questions. Please, during the presentation, just feel free to use the chat box and with anything that you might not have clarity on or want to add to the discussion. We'll go through how you set up your meetings with your representatives and senators or senator, and then what do we do next? But just really to start off with the recycling day, it is coming up in less than 3 weeks, 21st. The event that we will hold will be from 4:30 to the reception will be from 4:30 to 7. Prior to that time, there will be the opportunity for you to meet with legislators. We'll go through some of those details as we go through this presentation about how to do that. But the purpose behind this is to set the opportunity for you just to have a one-on-one dialogue with those representatives that cover your district or others who may have interest in what we do, and because they do want to hear about your business. So it's time to talk to them about that, and that bring to the forefront that this is an economic issue. The legislators are not particularly concerned about protecting the environment or a circular economy. Those are terms that not going to really sit well with them, but job growth does sit well with them. And that is the message that we need to focus on. I'm not speaking against circular economy or sustainability. You need to know what language and what message works best with the audience that we have. And we want to just make sure with this preparation that we are doing the best, that everyone there is best positioned to have the dialogue. And hopefully, while we don't have any specific legislation that I'm aware of in this session, we want to make sure that down the road it's in the back of their mind when recycling legislation does come up, that they will have your encouragement to support it. Our agenda is for the sponsors, and Mary's going to have some sponsor information for you in just a minute. But from noon to 2, the sponsors will be setting up at the Palmetto Club. The address is there on the screen and in the other communications you're getting from CRA. The rest of us can check in there between 2:30 and 3. We'll have in that time just a meet and greet amongst ourselves. And then we've got at 3 o'clock presentations that will talk about what's going on in South Carolina and connecting with your representatives. For those that haven't heard any of this, it'll be some of that information. Who is giving that presentation, Mary? Is that Robert?
We've got several presenters coming.
Okay.
And actually, that leads to the next slide that we just found out we are going to have a special guest speaker during the event too. So I wanted to highlight that. We will have our Chairman Hickson from the House Agriculture, Natural Resources, and Environment Committee. And for those of you that don't know, Representative Hickson and that committee is really the committee charged with looking at recycling, waste reduction, waste issues, litter issues, and things like that in the South Carolina legislature. So it's a great opportunity to meet him and hear what he has to say. So I'm excited to give that news to you guys. But our other presenters, we will certainly have Anna DeLage from the Department of Commerce Recycling Division. We have, I believe, JW Aluminum is going to be speaking about a business perspective. We will have Robert Smith, and he'll talk a little bit to the group as well, who is with Moore Van Allen Law Firm, and they are principal lobbyists for Nucor Steel. So that's a great person to talk to. And of course, me and Will, your old pals, will be there too, speaking a little bit. So that's our lineup right now.
Thank you, Mary. And do note that Representative Hickson chairs the committee. So, I mean, what gets on the agenda is controlled in his office. He's a key person. Please make sure you just as we're in the informal part of the reception, you know, just go up, introduce yourself, give him a business card. I wouldn't take up too much of his time, be quick and brief, but you know, just to thank him for being there is probably the what you want to do. I'll speak a little bit more to that as we go forward. All the elected officials' offices have received a calendar event. They've got email from CRA, a paper invitation will be dropped in their offices, so it's going to be on the calendar. For the reception will be on the calendar in each office. Now, that just means it's on the calendar, staff persons put it there. There's a lot other things going on. There will be other receptions at the same time, so they're going to have choices about where to go. So we're asking you to take an extra step in reaching out to your senator and your representative to get them there. Next slide, please. Mary, if you don't know who your representative and senators are, or senator, who they are, just go to scstatehouse.gov. There is a link on that homepage. It's designated with this arrow that I put over that screenshot. And in that, you'll just put in your address, and the next slide you will see will be then who represents you. It's going to give you both federal and state. So you'll see, of course, everybody in South Carolina has the same federal senators, Scott and Graham. Your address will get you your specific district for your congressman. Those, we're not going to DC, we're going to Columbia, so your interest is in those two at the bottom, where your senator and your representative will be there, and their pages are linked there in their name, and will take you to that page when you click them. And next slide, please, Mary, and you'll have their contact information. Many of them will have their home office numbers on there, but you want to contact that business phone, because that's the one that's going to ring into the legislative office in either the one of the two buildings there behind the Statehouse. But do call that number, and understand you're really not going to reach your representative or your senator. Next slide, please, Mary. When you make that phone call, but whoever answers the phone will have the calendar. And so just with that phone call, just invite them to come by our reception at 4:30. So they've got one more message there to get there, and this is the personal message, so that carries more weight than the emails and printed invites that we've sent, because remember, we are competing with other receptions. And I would encourage you to, at the same time, make an appointment with your with both offices, your representative and your senator. And you know, just in that, the next slide, please. Just make it say that you are a constituent. You will be there, not on Wednesday the 9th, but on the 21st.
Oh, that's a typo. Sorry, we missed that one.
This is on the 21st. It's not next week. We got more time. But just to, make it clear that you are in their district, either you reside there, which means you vote for them, or that your company operates in that district, which means that you're creating jobs in their district. These are the things that matter to them. And then if you're not setting an appointment, just ask them to join us for the reception. But again, I would encourage you, just ask to have you'd like to schedule 10 minutes just to swing by their office if there's any time that day that's available. Next slide, please.
Well, before we move on, I just wanted to ask this of you. You know, for those that work in different, you know, districts than they live in, do you think it's a good idea to contact both your home representatives and your business representatives if they are in different districts?
Oh, yes, certainly. That bullet you got there about being a constituent or your company operates, if both categories matter, I would make 4 phone calls for sure. And some of you have got companies operating in multiple districts. You know, you could make a busy day of this, but I got to stress how important it is that they hear from us. And this is somewhat intimidating to go up to them, but you need to know that they didn't get elected by being shy. They're outgoing people. They're used to lots of contact. It's every day to them. So it's really easy to approach them if you've gone through the steps to get the appointment. When you're there, I don't know if this is in another slide or not, but you want to make sure you leave them with a business card, that you're quick and to the point. Don't talk past your 10 minutes because they've got a lot of other people coming to see them. But just tell them that you're there and glad to meet them, and we'll talk about some other talking points in the later slide. But just ask them to come to the reception and talk about your business, that what recycling does and why it's important. And I would encourage you to stress that you may have seen in some of the local media, particularly the Columbia newspaper, that some recycling's not working, and just say that there are markets for material, and we're looking to get more material in the businesses in South Carolina, because they're seeing all this negative messaging that many of our that the people we serve are seeing, and we've got to counter that with them, if not with everybody. Like I said, check both. You do have the representative and the senator to reach out to. Know where we're going to be. There is the address. Make sure you've got that. And to check in is between 2:30 and 3. We will have a preliminary program at 3 o'clock for our attendees, and the reception with the representatives and senators, the elected officials, and their staff begins at 4:30. There is no parking right at the Palmetto Club or at the Statehouse, or there's no public parking at the Statehouse. They do have their own secret underground parking lot that you actually access from a block and a half away, and a secret tunnel that runs underneath to get there. That's been that way a long time, but there are some public parking spaces on Lady Street and Park Street, which are very nearby. And CRA is going to give you information on that. I'll let Mary go through her sponsor information.
All right, thanks, Will. Yes, we'll definitely we'll send out a parking map with a couple of options for you in about a week or two before the event. And so for sponsors, I just wanted to go over this for you guys. If you are a Palmetto partner, a Grand Strand giver sponsor, you'll be able to bring some display items and a pop-up banner in about a 6-foot space, a 6-foot wide space. So you can come around 12 as early as noon to set that up at the Palmetto Club. Because of the parking situation, that's really why I wanted to go over this in detail. You'll need to unload if you have a lot of items that you don't want to carry a few blocks. You'll need to go ahead and unload your stuff behind the Palmetto Club. There's a little unloading area and a tiny parking lot. We're not allowed to park there, but you will be able to kind of temporarily unload, and we'll be able to watch your things for you, our volunteers, while you park your car, and hopefully help you bring them inside if you need assistance with that. So it's only going to be probably, you want to plan for about 75 people with what kind of giveaways you bring. That's a realistic expectation between attendees and legislators coming to the event. So, if you're bringing pencils or your business cards and that kind of stuff, you want to plan for about 75. So you don't need to bring a ton of things. And then your sponsor tables are going to be placed around the edge of the room, and we'll have them labeled for you as to who goes where around the edge of the room where we're having the reception. So the speaking portion is in a different room from the reception, just to allow for a better flow. So we'll be able to direct you to where your things go. And really, the legislators really enjoy just walking around the room when they see these displays that you've really gone to the trouble to set these up, and they want to come in and talk to you. And so just be prepared when you're at the event that you're going to want to be at that table, at least have one of your people at the table. And, you can register as many people as you want from your organization if you're a sponsor at any level. So, you can maximize your face time, that way by having more than just one person, one at the table perhaps, and one to float around the room, for example. What we've noticed with this reception last year is that the legislators really, they kind of come in and out. They go quick because they have a lot of other things to do. They might have other receptions to go to. I know that there's at least 2 other receptions going on that evening at other places. And so they're going to kind of blow in and out pretty quickly. They might grab a bite to eat, work the room, and then leave. So, you don't necessarily have time to talk to every single one if you're by yourself. So just keep that in mind. The more folks you have, the more opportunity you have for that face time. And if you're a Santee supporter or a Crescent contributor, you'll be able to bring some brochures and handouts, small things that we can put on a table that's going to be shared for those sponsor levels. So you don't need to really arrive super early for that. We can, take care of that pretty quickly. So the early arrivals is more for the setting up of banners and structural things. So just keep that in mind.
And to Mary's point about them not being there for the whole time, don't be shy. Don't hold back. If there's somebody there that you can approach, I encourage you to be with it, because the exposure time will be limited. Understand there is a dress code at the Palmetto Club listed here. No denim, tennis shoes, shorts. It's got to be business dress. Appropriate daytime, and in the evening you've got to have a jacket. The ties are optional. Recommended, ladies, accordingly. If you're going into the Statehouse for an appointment, dress code will be full business attire. That means gentlemen are wearing suits, ladies are wearing something that's appropriate to that, the suit, and you will have a tie there. There's nobody going to check that you don't have it. You won't be turned back in security for not having the appropriate business attire, but you will be out of place and probably not as comfortable. If you haven't been into the South Carolina Statehouse, I do encourage you to get there early enough to go in and see it. It's an absolutely beautiful building. You go up a grand set of stairs to get to the floors where you can go into either the House side or the Senate side. This is where business is conducted. There is a gallery that you can access if they're in session, plus there's monitors in the foyer area there as well to see what's going on. But it is worth seeing. Note that their offices are not in the Statehouse, but they're in the 2 buildings. But behind it, the Senate has the first building behind, and the representatives in the building beyond that. But so when you're making your appointments, know that you'll be going around the Statehouse, not through it, to get to those offices. when you get there, keep in mind that they really do want to talk to you. You're a constituent or you've got business in there, and they want to hear from you. That's why they're there, and they are fully engaged in that. You know, tell them who you are, what you do, and then if you got a current issue that you want to talk about, please, bring it up. If there is a specific bill out there that you want supported, now is a time to tell them, please support it, and explain why. If there's not a specific bill or there's something you think that could be addressed legislatively, let them have that. I don't know, we don't have an EPR bill yet in South Carolina, but they're everywhere else, and it's probably coming. It might be, if you've got a position on EPR, it's a good time to share that, because I know they're going to be hearing about it. Go with knowing what your business impact is in the district, and Department of Commerce has additional information. Take a look at the CERTIC map on the CERTIC website, certic.org/maps, where we've got the manufacturing sector represented there. You can zoom in on South Carolina where you live. So go in there with that support so you can have it. And then if you are speaking to a specific issue, tell them why you care about it. And then not only, who else may be supportive, make sure you're on good grounds when you reference another party, be it a person or a business. Make sure that they're willing to say that if they're asked. On the next slide, just you want to keep this focused. You don't have much time. I mean, 5 to 10 minutes is really, the 10-minute mark is your outside limit to this. And if you're overstaying your time, you will be perceived as annoying. And as Mary said, they've got a lot going on. Everybody wants parts of this time. If you've got it, be there, be clear, be focused, be sincere, make eye contact, be sure to thank them for doing it. Speak kindly to the staff on your way in and out. They control the flow of information. Be as personable as you can with the staff, and their time pressure is not quite as stressed, so you've got a little time if you can chit chat with the staff. And there's usually 1, 2, or 3 staff people depending on the official, but do there, and then might follow up with a thank you letter when you get back the next day.
Well, if I might
Yes.
interject one thing, I wanted everyone to know that when we do our pre-event presentations at 3 o'clock, you're going to get a lot of great economic data information from Will and from CERTIC and Will and from the Department of Commerce. They are bringing their most updated economic impact numbers from their recent study, and this is hot off the press numbers. So they are bringing those. There will be printouts for you to use, and there'll also be a slideshow where they'll go over some of these statistics. So if you're thinking, oh, I don't know what I'm going to talk about, that's really a conversation piece for you to work off of if you need some ideas on what to discuss. If you're local government or if you're a private citizen and you maybe aren't in the business but you still support it, you'll be able to have some good information to use.
Yeah, and if your appointment is earlier in the day than this preparatory meeting that we're having that afternoon, reach out to Mary ahead of time. We will get you the information so that you've got it when you're in there. We want the legislators to understand the economic impact of recycling. Environmental issues not important, but economic impact is huge to these guys. Go ahead, Mary.
Okay, so really quick, when I first went to my first legislative day, I didn't know this. that they don't go around wearing name tags automatically. And so you're like, who is this? And so we are going to provide name tags for the legislators. We actually print out the name tags for every single one of them, every member of the Senate and the House, in case they come. I know that sounds wasteful, but it really is helpful for them to have name tags. So they actually, most of them put them on when we provide them, but they may choose not to. And so you may want to try to look up a picture of your representative to prepare yourself so you can recognize them. You'll notice a lot of times they wear this little pin that I've got in the picture here. It's small, it's about the size of a dime, and they always are wearing that on their lapel. So that's a great indicator. And then, you're also just going to have to introduce yourself sometimes. If it's a staffer, for example, they may not be wearing anything. And we don't have name tags for them because we don't know who they are. So we, let them make their own name tag usually. But, it's a good idea to just go ahead and introduce yourself. Everyone's there to talk and meet each other and hang out. So, there's really no need to be shy at all. All right. And Will, do you want to go over this one?
You will, in the course of your interaction, whether it's an appointment you've made or whether it's on the floor at the Palmetto Club, they're going to say, what is it you want? And you need to know your answer. And that I don't know that we have a recycling related bill floating in the legislature right now that we're at, and we certainly don't, neither CERDIC nor CRA are advocating for a bill at this point. But you want them to know when something comes up, recycling is important, and you hope they will support it. That is the key message that you leave. As it says, it's an honor to meet you. You'll just remember to be complimentary, that you're excited to be there. Thank you for your time to meet with me. And recycling is important. It's driving the economy. If legislation comes up, please support it. Thank you very much.
Great. And Will, there's a question in the chat. I'm going to read it to you. It says that you mentioned circularity and sustainability messaging will not necessarily resonate. True. However, investors take ESG initiatives very seriously, and ESG performance affects business investment decisions. Is this something we can discuss with legislators? So do you recommend any of that type of discussion?
Yeah, I want you to know we're not limited what you can discuss by any means. You certainly can talk about anything you want to. What you're up against, and I do. A lot of companies are taking some very good steps towards circularity, towards environmental stewardship, and for diversity and inclusion. But remember, it is in the mindset of many of our elected officials, particularly in one party, that government regulations restrict business. And that's the mindset that's there, that we need to overcome. That legislation that encourages recycling, whether it's a mandate or an incentive or rebate or whatever, we believe it's good for business, and we are having to overcome that long held position that regulation is bad for business.
Thank you, Will. And another question came in asking about, is it appropriate to address broader waste issues like chemical recycling and, kind of those more complex things? And, and they said, are we wanting to focus on talking points or simply on building support for recycling? And I do think we want to focus on the economic top talking points is what we're saying here. We are not going to limit what you can bring up, but we're trying to, I think, advise you on what's going to go over and what isn't. Just being having been inside the situation and having, you know, a lot of experience with this particular group. So, you know, we recommend sticking to the business impact information to share, as that's going to be the most clear and impactful piece of information to share. And Will, do you have anything else to add?
Yeah, you know, if you want to talk about chemical recycling, I certainly will. There's a lot of activity in that. I don't know if they are active this year in South Carolina, but CERTIC doesn't have a position on chemical recycling. And we encourage you to talk about whatever in these chemical recycling is a complicated one. So it's speak your heart is what I would encourage.
Yeah, I agree. And, you know, someone asked me the other day, you know, is it okay if I bring up, you know, a bottle bill or EPR? You know, if we had a policy on the plate right now that we wanted to see progress, we would try to rally everyone around that. But every year, you just don't have that every year. So, and, you know, we're in the same boat. You know, the position on those topics mentioned, we have not taken one either. So at this point, we're not going to limit that discussion. And I don't know that we ever would, even if we did have a position on it, that we would actually limit it for this group, because this isn't, you know, the CRA's legislative day or Will Fager's legislative day. This is the industry's day, and we're just hosting it. So, you know, that's what I would say. We encourage you to bring up whatever you feel like you need to. Like Will said, speak your heart on it. We certainly are going to. But, you know, whenever a lot of the people that I've spoken to from the legislature, you say that you're, you know, in the recycling industry, they want to talk about recycling. They'll say, oh, I love to recycle. I recycle at my house. You know, we always bring our recycling, you know, to the drop-off center. And so they're excited about meeting people that make that happen. And so, you know, they're not experts. They're in the same place with their recycling knowledge as any member of the public, for the most part. Maybe Chairman Hickson is a little bit more well-versed, but, you know, for the most part, they're not experts. And so they're starting at that kind of a base level of knowledge. And so for them, it really is important for them to have that basic knowledge of kind of the economic impact of recycling.
Yeah, and Mary's right. The focus is on economic impact. CERTIC doesn't have a position on chemical recycling or EPR. Now, if you want to talk about labeling containers made out of degradable plastics, we might be very clear on that, but I don't think that's an issue in South Carolina right now. But we have lobbied bills in that for that issue in North Carolina and Alabama, successfully lobbied those. But so it's not that we won't, but with chemical recycling, EPR, and other things that are in the news today, I think we're just going to step back and say, if it's good for recycling, then we're behind it, and take it from there.
All right. Well, I don't see any more questions in the chat box. If you have another question, now is your chance. So
just a reminder to you know, check out the CERTIC map on our website if you need other information. If you're looking for more data than that, we've got some. Just email me, call me with any questions you got, and we certainly look forward to the day and the engagement that we'll have there. Thank you, Mary.
Thank you, Will. And you guys check back with us in a few hours if you want to watch this recording. It just takes a little time to process, and so we'll be posting it on the website and emailing it out to everybody. We really appreciate your great questions, and feel free to reach out to us anytime if you want to chat. And everybody have a wonderful weekend. Happy Friday, and we'll see you in a few weeks. Bye.